Knave 2nd Edition is a rules-light role-playing game by Ben Milton. If you're unfamiliar with Ben Milton, he runs the Questing Beast YouTube channel and is the author of The Waking of Willoughby Hall, Maze Rats, and the original Knave, all of which are very good and worth checking out. And for full transparency, I did support the Kickstarter for Knave's 2nd Edition. Knave starts with a short introduction outlining the gameplay ideas, then a bit of commentary on the many tables in the book, which I'll address later in this review. The next pages go over what game masters and players should expect and what they in turn are responsible for. This is far more than the usual "what is a role-playing game" introduction. It's full of good advice and information that will be valuable if you have players who aren't used to the old-school style of gaming that Knave embraces. One of the player duties is to prepare to die, which might sound grim, but it lets folks know they are in a dangerous game world and the threats are real. This section also outlines a playstyle where there is more player agency, and they aren't just being dragged along an adventure path, which again might be new to some players depending on their experience or expectations. Then we have character creation, which is a fairly simple affair. It's based on original Dungeons & Dragons, so most things will be familiar. 6 stats, levels, hit points. They're all here, but Knave's implementation is different enough that it's not just another BX clone. Firstly, your stats aren't rolled. They're assigned. You're given 3 points, each one equates to a +1 bonus to be assigned to one of your stats, all of which start at 0. Those stat bonuses are then applied to different rolls and ability checks. A lot of care went into making each stat useful. Strength is for fighting, Dex is for reflexes, dodging, and sneaking, but not for lockpicking. Lockpicking is based on intelligence, as is alchemy. Wisdom is the stat applied to ranged attacks, whereas charisma is the cleric stat, influencing how many hirelings you can have and the number of blessings you can receive. Constitution is for general toughness and affects the amount you can carry and how much injury you can sustain. Your hit points are 1d6, with no modification for Constitution, and your career and starting items are determined by a roll on a d100 table. Most of these careers are basic jobs which provide a few useful items. You can then choose from a selection of adventuring gear at no cost, and our new adventurer is more or less ready to start adventuring in the great big world. Yes, a sample world map included with Knave, as well as a sample dungeon. Experience points are gained for each coin recovered from dangerous locations, so this is a game about treasure finding, not monster killing. Additional levels will provide 3 more points to spend on attributes, as well as an additional 1d6 hit points. The core mechanic is a rollover on a d20. The difficulty is set by the GM as 11, plus a rating between 0 and 10, with 5 as the default. Social, lore, and perception checks are some noted exceptions. Social checks are encouraged to be resolved with common sense in all but the most dangerous situations. Search checks are not needed. Things must be discovered through examination or in-game actions, reinforcing the player's duty of asking questions about the game world. Mechanics are supporting playstyle. Let's get into combat. For melee combat, the PC rolls a d20 and adds their strength. They must roll over the opponent's armor class. Armor class is determined not by armor type, leather, chain, plate, etc., but by the amount of armor worn. Each piece of armor adds 1 point to a base armor class of 11, and each piece of armor eats up 1 inventory slot. So a footman with a helmet, shield, and a reinforced tunic has 3 pieces of armor, eating up 3 inventory slots for an armor class of 14. More armor, less carrying capacity on a very simple 1-to-1 ratio. If a hit is scored, the weapon's damage die is rolled with no modifiers for high strength. Damage received is subtracted from hit points. When hit points reach 0, damage fills an inventory slot with an appropriate wound, burnt, stabbed, bludgeoned, etc. Wounds are filled from top to bottom in the inventory, and anything in an inventory slot that receives a wound must be dropped. PCs die when they are out of inventory slots. Monsters die at 0 hit points and do not have the same inventory dropping mechanics. So as your knave gets more battered and beaten, they slowly start having to make choices about what needs to be kept, perhaps even having to drop treasure to escape with their lives. Hit points are healed after 8 hours of sleep, or in game terms, 2 4-hour watches. Wounds are only healed if you are also in a safe place at a rate of 1 per 8 hours of rest. This divides damage into short-term stamina loss, represented by hit points, and long-term injuries, represented by wounds. There are rules for combat maneuvers, power attacks, sneak attacks, and other ways to get combat modifiers. There are, however, no starting careers that mechanically affect or improve combat abilities. Not even the soldier. There are rules for large-scale combat in the warfare section, where the cost and power of different types of troops are laid out. The rules are brief, and even large-scale battles are resolved with 3 rolls versus a difficulty set by the GM. I also get the feeling the rules for warfare are for determining outcomes of battles the PCs are not involved in. There aren't survival rolls or anything like that, so this can be used to determine set-piece battles, or if the characters are in a military campaign, a game where the players are scouts, and these rules could be used to determine their next mission, or if they get caught behind enemy lines. Magic. Magic comes in 2 flavors: spells that are in spellbooks, and relics that are magical items that are associated with a patron. Let's start with spells in spellbooks. They each take up an inventory slot, and no attribute check is required to activate them. A character can use up to intelligence in spellbooks a day, even though spellbooks themselves can only be used once per day. They can't be copied or created, but must be found in dungeons or stolen from their present owners. Knave provides a list of D100 spellbooks and their listed effects, each no more than a sentence or 2. Lots of interesting options for sure, but none of the spells listed do direct damage. No lightning bolts, no acid sprays, no fireballs. Again, the mechanics are reinforcing the concepts laid out in the player and GM duties. It's up to the players to find a use for Catherine? It also provides plenty of tables for generating new spells on the fly or inspiring your own spellbooks. Relics are powerful magic items in their own right, bound to a patron. Patrons can be demons, nature spirits, outsiders, minor gods, saints, or any number of supernatural entities. Patrons can be interacted with at holy sites called shrines. If players acquire a relic and take it to the patron's shrine, they can beseech the patron for a blessing, and they will receive a mission. Upon completion of the mission, they will acquire a blessing that lasts for as long as they possess the relic and remain in the patron's good graces. Blessings can be passive magical effects or a minor spell that can be used multiple times a day. In general, a useful but not game-breaking advantage. Wow, that's a lot to do, but so many plots and quests and hooks and sessions of adventuring. Adventures to find the relic, then find the shrine, then complete the quest you got at the shrine, and then go back to the shrine and get the blessing. The same with the game's alchemy system. It's very streamlined to gather some ingredients, spend a 4-hour watch or 2 to brew a potion, and make a roll. Very easy to do, but it creates a world where the players' wants, magic items and potions, are addressed with systems that are simple, player-facing, and engage with the game world. Want some protection of fire potions? Go get some fire beetle glands and some goblin guts and brew your own. And to help inspire and generate that game world, Knave gives you tables. Lots and lots of tables. Table for tactics, table for weakness, table for sense, table for sounds. Pretty much anything you can think of, there's a table for inspiration. In fact, let's use some right now to make up an NPC. So, after rolling and consulting with some tables, we have Colette Treadmont. Her personality is a femme fatale. Her details is she is missing a hand and is a viscount. Her goals are to frighten the city, and she has disciples to help her with that. Her liabilities are a political enemy, and she has a relationship with a teacher. Her mannerisms are hushed. So, Lady Colette Treadmont could be a seductive city NPC with disciples out doing her bidding to frighten the city, Maybe her political enemy enlists the PCs. Maybe her missing hand is replaced with a blade or something magical or mechanical. All that content after just a handful of rolls on Knave's tables. Physically, the book is hardcover, digest size, and fairly skinny. It comes in a premium edition, which is bound in black cloth, and foil stamped with a dungeon map, and a standard edition, which has fantastic Peter Mullen wraparound cover art. Personally, I have plenty of black A5 size books, so one with a great cover was the one for me. And a word about the art for a moment. Peter Mullen does all the art throughout the whole book, which gives it a great, gritty tone. We don't see a world of colorful spell effects and fairy dust. We see working-class adventurers in dangerous situations. Lastly, there is a section in the book called Designer's Commentary. Here, Ben Milton goes through the why of the game, why he made the rules the way he made them, and his thinking and approach to RPGs and GMing in general. This is great. It's like a director's commentary track for an RPG. It's packed with good advice and the things that inspired Ben, like Goblin Laws of Gaming and Lamentations of the Flame Princess. All in all, Knave does a lot of things I love. Mostly, it's light on rules and big on tools. The system itself is flexible and classless, and its small size belies the sheer volume of resource inside. And the rule set is modular enough to just pick and choose. The alchemy rules can fit into almost any system, so can the warfare rules. Even if you don't use the mechanics for relic magic, the system is great for generating quests that net the party magic items and let them interact with supernatural forces. I can't recommend it enough.